Hello there everybody, I'm really excited to be on your computer screen again because today I have a real landscape painting treat for you, because today I'll be painting the stunning Blue Mountains in oil paint. Now before I get into it, if you really love art and you're not there now, then come over to montmarte.net where we've got lots more art lessons. We also have our Facebook attached to that so we can talk to one another, and we have our creative connection. And if you subscribe to that, then we'll send you fun stuff each week as well as lots of other goodies. So let's paint some Blue Mountains. So the first step is to draw up our mountains, our Blue Mountains, onto the canvas. And this step is actually quite easy. And if you download the accompanying PDF that you can find on our webpage at www.montmarte.net, you will find this image. From here, you can transfer this onto the canvas with a pencil. So let's draw our mountains on. The most important thing with this stage is to place the horizon line in at the right point. Well, that's enough information. I think we might leave it at that and commence the next step. And the next step is I'm going to tint the canvas with Mont Marte Silver Series acrylic paint, and this is the ochre and the red ochre. Now this does one of two things. The first thing is it seals in the drawing, and the next it provides a nice warm undertone from which we can put our oils on. So let's let that dry and we can start building up the oil paint. I'll be using crimson, phthalo and zinc white oil paint, cold pressed linseed oil medium and a stainless steel brush washer. Once we have that squeezed out, we need to turn over our canvas, and I'll show you why. So now that the canvas is upside down, we can work from the horizon up to the top of the sky, from getting lighter to darker. So let's lay in pure white first along that horizon. Now that a rough coat of white is thinly applied, we can apply our phthalo and crimson to the top, which is the horizon, and work our way down that way. Now I lay pure phthalo into the bottom and bring it up. I scrub the phthalo on very lightly so the warmth of the underpainting shows through. Once the blue is on, scrub on the crimson into the skyline and bring it into the blue. Now turn that back over. And cut in with the fine brush around the mountains. I use a small flat and use pure white for this. As well as defining the mountains, this helps to reinforce the haze that appears from a distance. Now, I don't want to overcomplicate this sky too much, but if you wanted to add a few subtle clouds, then now would be the time to do it. To do this, I use the back of the brush and basically blend the bottom of the clouds into the existing sky. I drag the bottom of the cloud out in a long horizontal wisp. Well, now we can start on our mountains, and we start on the mountains the furthest away, and they'll also be the lightest. As we move forward, we shall darken the mountains. Refer to your PDF for guidance here, and let's start painting these mountains. The first mountains are mauve, made from white, crimson and phthalo. The farthest and lightest is white with a touch of phthalo, the next phthalo and white. I then create a dirty green from white, permanent green and ochre. The next range closest to us is laid in with some burnt sienna. Then some of that dirty green mix. The top and side of the mountain are ultramarine mixed with dirty green. Blend all of this in a rough painterly manner. Well, how exciting is this? We've only been doing this for a little while and already we've half finished. We just need to do the mountains in the foreground and the mountains in the middle. So we're going to give these a glaze with a bit of ultramarine. So let's get this ultramarine on. Mix this ultramarine with medium so it is fairly translucent. Create a mountain in the foreground a little darker. Well, our ultramarine underpainting is dry and we can start the top coat. So the next mountain range is this one in the middle. So let's start painting it and I'll explain it to you as we're going. To create a good realistic green mix, mix 1 part permanent green with white, ultramarine and ochre. Give them a mix and lay it into the top of the mountain ridge. Use the flat part of the brush for this. Now the top of the ridge is done, we can lay in this distant rock. And I'm doing that with this small palette knife with a little bit of yellow ochre. As well as the ochre, I also add blues and creams and apply them roughly. Well, I could keep going with those cliffs, but I really like the way they look now and I want to keep going and get this vegetation in. So using the same colours and the same brush, let's get it on. Because the trees are being viewed at a distance, we are really just suggesting them. This is best done by dragging the paint in all directions. Leave some of the underpainting shown through and vary the amount of ultramarine. Decrease the amount of white as you move up the mountain too. Build up the trees slowly and try to think about it as a complex random pattern. Finally, the mountains in the foreground, and we'll handle them pretty much the same way as we did the middle set of mountains, but we'll try and give the paint a little bit more texture. Cliffs should be thought of as a series of planes. Those that are in highlight will be lit, and obviously those planes where the light doesn't hit remain in shadow, and as such wouldn't be seen. This type of paint application is documenting light more than anything. You'll notice there is no black on the palette. The ultramarine underpainting is quite dark enough to suggest this deep shadow. I scumble a basic green over the blue and let it show through in parts. Once I'm happy with the cliffs, I turn my attention to the mountain in the foreground and bring the vegetation down the bank. I use a small brush for this, and although the brush looks too small for the job, the small marks it creates provide the look of distant vegetation very well. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed that. I absolutely love painting landscapes in oil paint. So thanks again for watching, and feel free to drop us a line anytime. And if you haven't subscribed to our Creative Connection, then don't forget to do that. So until next time, keep on painting. See you next time!